I remember when I was about 7 years old, which honestly is a little bit older to start artistic gymnastics, but I did a tumbling class and I absolutely loved it. And so I joined the artistic gymnastics team and I did it for about 10 years. My senior year of high school, I knew I was done with artistic gymnastics. I was mentally and physically just I knew it was time to close that chapter,
Mm,
but I knew I didn't want to stop being an athlete. So I was like, what can I do to enjoy my senior year? And honestly, I had given up the thought of being a collegiate athlete because I didn't think anybody would want me because I had retired from the sport I did my whole life.
mm.
And that's when I found acrobatic gymnastics, which was just a really cool sport because you have people on top of you, you're lifting them, you're throwing them, which I've never seen before. And I was like, you know what? I just want to try it just for fun my last year. And then little did I know it would give me the opportunity to be a collegiate athlete at Baylor. So it became really easy to me. So you have like the skills where you're more throwing the person and catching. I would say that came easier to me just because of like my natural strength. But again, kind of like the balance beam, the balance aspect was a little bit more tough to take on at the beginning. Honestly, so it was when I was okay, so artistic gymnastics when I was 7, I didn't really notice much. Like not until I would say I was about like 12, like 10 years to 12 years old. And people would make comments like, "Oh my gosh, like you are like built different." I was like, yeah, like, I kind of am. Like I was always the tallest gymnast.
Mm.
Like like I was never, like the bar setting had to go clear, clear wide. And, it was just little things like that I would notice. And then when I got more to like college age, I was like, wow, like putting on muscle, right? I don't look like every other female. And
Mhm.
so, and then I got to Baylor and I got in the weight room because before Baylor, I had never touched a weight. Like I did not know what bench press was, or I did not know technique on how to do a back squat or front squat. And then that's when I really put on the muscle and the
Mhm.
strength that
Yeah.
translated to my sport. And that's when I learned, okay, women who have muscles and strength is awesome.
Yeah, yeah.
Let's continue that trend of like, look, like we're so cool. And I will never forget. So like, freshman year, you kind of it's like intro to like the strength stuff, right? Because you none of us really knew what we were doing. And then by the time you get to your senior year, you have all this experience, right? And my strength coaches got me to where I was back squatting 405 and benching 235, which
Mm.
is crazy. Like I never would like they're so awesome. And they've also like pushed me into saying like your strength is awesome, Bailey. Like look what you can do. Like, go change the world for like women and like how, because like it's if you look different, it's okay.
Mhm.
You have your own strength in your own way, so go use it. A full on blessing because my friend told me like, hey, you can do collegiate acrobatics and tumbling. And I was like, I don't even know what that is. But you
Mhm.
know what? I always want to see. And I went to both Oregon and Baylor's summer camp. And that's kind of where I got my toe in the water of like, okay, this is kind of what the sport is. So I reached out to both coaches and I just sent them videos and I was like, hey, this is me. And little did I know I would get offers from both. So it was
Wow.
it was amazing. She she taught me like mental toughness on a level I never even thought of before. And
Mm.
like the grit and like the mental attitude and like the competitiveness, and just like the confidence, right? I love how she always says like go in with confidence, but also like humility. So like that has taken me so far,
Mm.
so far. And so whatever she has taught me these past 4 years, like will definitely translate into my future. And I can already tell it's making a positive impact. She basically raised me from the time I was 18 years old to 22.
Mm.
And one of the biggest aspects I take from this sport and this team is like strength is power. And it was amazing that, I was always built differently than a lot of females. I never looked like them. And, I struggled with that, like,
Mm.
being muscular and, as a female. And I was like, oh man. But then Coach Fee was like, muscles are beautiful. Like, look what you can do in the sport. And like, look
Mm.
what you can change the world for girls. And, being able to celebrate strength and muscles and to just like appreciate who you are and to like appreciate, hard work and humbleness and how far that can take you in life. Her sport and her allowed me to love athletics again and
Mm,
to love myself in a different light that I've never really I never really saw before. Because, like, when you're younger, it's kind of like, yeah, I have muscles, whatever. But, like, when you get older and, like social media comes in and, like, people, will express their judgment, like,
mm.
she built me up on a high platform. And I have so much respect for her for that. And her sport allowed me to, like, build confidence within myself. Yes, yes, and that's another reason I love Coach Fee is she's always like, what's the next thing? What's the next challenge, right? And that's my mindset as an athlete is like I need to be constantly challenged and I need to like, go past the boundaries. And so when Jordan came in and we kind of had similar backgrounds, it was really cool. And I'm so blessed that Coach Fee was like, hey, you know what? I'm just gonna give you two time and create something crazy. Let's just do something different for the sport. Let's continue to grow it because the sport is still new and it's
Hmm.
not going to stop anytime soon. And so, yeah, she kind of just let us, do our thing. And me and Jordan challenged each other and we built each other up and it was a great partnership. So it's so funny because like at practice, we would like hit him so good, so good. Then we get to the meet and our warm-ups were a little up and down. Jordan can attest to this, but they're up and down. We're kind of like, all right, you know what? Just trust our training. So, we went out there and that skill was probably the most nerve-wracking skill I ever competed. But landing it was the best feeling ever because, like we said, all the reps, all the hours, all the, time put into it is rewarded. And to hear my teammates just scream and all the parents just scream when we landed it was a feeling like no other. Yes, and I can attest to that, especially my freshman year, where I got, it was COVID and I tore my Achilles. And I really struggled that year because I was just so excited to be at college and I was like so grateful and I was just having so much fun on the team, and then an injury happens.
Mm,
And I really struggled mentally. Like I didn't know, I was kind of like, well, what's my role now? Right? Like, what do I do now that I'm not on the mat? Like physically, what can I do, on the side? And honestly, like that's just as big a role, right? Because my teammates were there for me like no other. They're the reason I got through it.
mm.
And I could be there for them in a different light than I
Yeah.
was before. That was I couldn't have asked for a better way to end my career at Baylor because that's exactly how I wanted to end it. And like the moments I felt with my teammates, I was like, yeah, this was a good one to end
Yeah.
on. I couldn't have asked for anything better, honestly. Yeah, no, I still wake up whenever I, do interviews and stuff, I'm still like, what? Like I won national champions and I'm all American. What? Like because like you said, like my senior year of high school, I truly did not think I would be a collegiate athlete because and little did I know the sport opened up so many opportunities for me. Yes, so it was around fall semester of my senior year. They were like, "Hey, like we're recruiting for our NIL class, which they like to call is like next in line,
Mm,
which is like how they, NIL." And this is where they see athletes that they can see potentially transferring to WWE, right?
mm,
And so that's where I took my trip in June was my NIL trip where I got to it was so much fun. I got to actually like go to the performance center. I got to meet amazing people and I got to watch like NXT and I got to see that world like in person versus just like on YouTube or something.
mm.
So that was so fun. I got to meet some amazing wrestlers and I got to meet, just some of like the administrators and kind of like media people. And I got to meet like, like the top dogs of, the company, which was really amazing. And they're all just so cool. Like they're just like all kind of like my personality where they were funny and just down to earth. And every person I met was amazing. I actually was telling my mom this. I was like, you know what? It'll be kind of fun to throw them and not have to worry about catching them. Yeah, I could just be like, oh, just like throw them with all my power and not have to worry about catching them, you know? So at that trip, I actually kind of got to get in the ring and I kind of got to, learn the basics and fundamentals of WWE and wrestling. And that was so much fun. I never got to like have never done anything like that before.
Mm.
So yeah, that was fun. Yeah, I actually, I got to learn more in depth about that on my recruiting trip, kind of how they, how both like us and them, like within the company, like work together, to form that. And so, yes, I'm excited to dive into my creative side. I already have some kind of like thoughts and ideas I want to express at the tryout,
Mm.
and kind of just see where it goes from there. Well, it's fun. Like it's hard because I have so many thoughts
Okay.
and ideas, but kind of just like, I do want to continue to represent my strength, but also tap into my, a lot of sides that a lot of people don't know about me, which is I love like forensics, I love
Mm.
like autopsies, I love like dealing
Mm.
with like, like kind of like a darker, like,
Yeah.
what I mean? So I don't know. I'm curious what all my ideas will turn into. It was so cool. They actually had a Baylor belt, like a Baylor WWE belt. So like it was like, like the big like the W on the front and then it was like the BU logos on the side that I got to wear for the photo shoot, which was so much fun. Right now I'm just kind of weighing all of my options and like literally a week from today I leave for my WWE tryout.
Mm.
So I'm excited for that because I get to, explore that opportunity and I get to like, get to know more in depth with that. And so I'm just kind of going through all my options. I'm saying yes to everything. And, at the end of the day, when I have all the information, I'll sit down and, work through it.